Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm still honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Mr. Tarek Rafaat, the journalist at the Middle East News Agency. Mr. Tarek, thank you very much once again for being with us. Tonight we have seen over the past report the bilateral ties between Egypt and the United Nations, and more specifically in the field of international cooperation, because we have seen the work of the Minister of International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, and as we've mentioned in the first part of the Daily Debate, the UNDP and the bilateral relations and the cooperation in terms of signing sustainable development programs and memorandum of understanding between Egypt and the United Nations. How do you see the future of those memorandum of understanding and the ways of implementing them for the benefit of the Egyptian people?
We saw today Egypt signed this development cooperation framework. Prime Minister Madbouli highlighted that Egypt is one of the founders since 1945, and we have many criteria in this framework. It's concerned with social stability, economic development, and environmental protection. We have this sustainable development goals, yes, the SDG 2020 and 2030 also.
Yes.
And as you mentioned before, Egypt in 2018 had this 5-year agreement with the UNDP, and this framework will definitely help Egypt to empower women, to boost the social protection, which we saw was very effective during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. How do you see the steps taken by the Egyptian government, especially under the tenure of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi ever since 2014, for the future 15 years, and maybe for 2063, which is the African agenda for a whole?
Yes, I see that we are moving in the right direction. We are making very good infrastructure projects. We are going away from pollution, like maybe a decade ago, and now we are living in Cairo, a very populous city, one of the most populous cities. We can know and we can feel the difference in the air that we breathe. It's very different right now, especially as the Ministry of Environment is checking on the air pollution every now and then, maybe on a daily basis. So we are going away from pollution. We are trying to hundreds or maybe millions of cars are now changing to be run by gas,
yes,
instead of fuel, and we are moving forward.
Could we be converting to electricity as well for the future?
Of course.
Do we have such a capability?
Yes, Egypt already established its first e-vehicle in cooperation with a very big Chinese company, and during the coming period maybe we can see another cooperation with Indian companies in this field.
Yes, returning to the main topic that we have spoken of during the first segment of the Daily Debate, which is the peacekeeping missions and the integration of the Egyptian soldiers in it. And I'd like to be shedding more light on women empowerment, as you've mentioned, because we have all women police and maybe military combat missions in Mali, for example, from Egypt. How do you see such a step for the Egyptian police officers and for the Egyptian military competence, because we could be seeing this in Egypt maybe as soon as possible?
Yes. Before maybe decades ago, we could see Egyptian missions when it comes to women maybe only in teaching, nursing, and
yes,
so on. But women should engage in all the activities, because women want the women rights, and in order for women, in my own point of view, to get their rights, they have to engage in more activities,
Yes.
including the military and police. And having women in the United Nations peacekeeping is very important, because in some countries, maybe most probably in the Middle East or Africa, you need women to deal with other women.
Yes.
Or else we will, because they will be able to deal with them, or else we will have other problems. So women engaging in the peacekeeping missions is very important for Egypt, and it's a step forward for women empowerment.
Yes, you mentioned that we have women empowerment as one of the main sustainable development goals for 2030 here in Egypt, and you mentioned as well the infrastructure that we are building for the future generations. How do you see the rate of building a new capital, which is the new administrative capital, about 30 new cities, 5G cities, 4G cities? I wouldn't know which one is which right now. Building multiple construction bridges, tunnels, linking Sinai with the Delta. Once again, I think 3 to 4 to 6 Sinai tunnels from here and there, and getting vice versa. How would you see all those steps taken in under 10 years with President Sisi?
Yeah, Egypt has limited resources, but we have something else which helps us amaze very rich countries. When they look at Egypt, they are amazed. And they think, how did Egypt do all of these projects in a very little time frame?
Yes.
So we saw most of the Egyptians, or some of the Egyptians, didn't even see the projects, most of the projects. But if you go to each city here in Egypt, you will be amazed, because what we see on the TV is maybe only 10% of what really happened there. So, for instance, if we are in the summer now, if we go visit the New Alamein city,
yes.
Now everybody is going to New Alamein, everybody is opening offices there, everybody is opening businesses there.
The road itself has been renovated.
Yes, and it's magnificent.
It's a new city altogether.
Yes. So we see in the TV just 10% of the city, but if you go inside, you will see something else. It's amazing what Egypt is doing, and other countries which has a very high foreign reserves, they are amazed of how Egypt and how, under the leadership of President Sisi, managed to do all of these projects in this very little time.
Yes, and in a minute, because we're running out of time, you mentioned people living outside of Egypt, people with investments, people with money, looking at the screens and seeing that there is a difference here in the country. Do you think that this means we could be growing more investments for the future?
Of course. We see foreigners or foreign investors wanting to pump more FDI into the country after seeing that the Egyptian government and the Egyptian people are really serious about making a revolution, not a revolution that it's in the streets,
yes,
which doesn't benefit any country, not protests, but a revolution in economy, a revolution in projects, a revolution in roads. And hopefully after the Ukrainian-Russian crisis will end soon, and people will start pumping again more investments into the country. And I want to make one little statement here.
30 seconds, please.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to say to all the Egyptian big investors, I want to tell them to invest in the country. If I want to tell them, you have to help your country by engaging with huge investments. Don't invest outside. It's time for you now to invest in your country, because Egypt doesn't need anything after these 10 years of infrastructure. We just need our businessmen to invest in the country.
Yes, Mr. Tarek Rafaat, the journalist at the Middle East News Agency, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. I will be leaving you, however, with the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over the past week. So stay tuned for the upcoming report. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi saw King of the Kingdom of Bahrain, His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, upon his departure from Alamein City. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received Sultan of Bohra Community in India, Mufaddal Saifuddin. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives a phone call from his Kenyan counterpart, William Ruto. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurates a Sayyida Nafisa Mosque after its renovation. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with Serbian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, Milos Vučić. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi reviews the activities of the Tahya Misr, or Long Live Egypt Fund, and its role at the level of social and development work. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi follows up on efforts aimed at securing the needs of citizens and economic activities with regards to the provision of electricity in a sustainable and stable manner. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is following up the executive position of the investment plan for the transport sector projects at the level of the Republic.